Let me ask you something. Are you busy or are you actually productive? Yeah, there's a huge difference. And today, we're going to dig into a really simple but honestly super powerful technique to make sure you're the latter. We're going to talk about how to reclaim your focus from the absolute chaos of a packed schedule. Let's dive in.
So, does this look familiar? I bet it does. If you've ever stared at your calendar and just felt this wave of exhaustion from the solid block of color, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We kind of wear these back-to-back schedules like a badge of honor, don't we? But what if I told you it's quietly sabotaging your absolute best work?
You know, this relentless pressure to fill every single second of the day, well, it has a name. It's called the tyranny of urgency. And it's driven by a very specific, and let's be honest, often misleading, alarm bell inside our own heads.
And here's the culprit right here, hallucinated urgency. It's that phantom sense of panic, you know the one, that makes every single notification, every email, every ping feel like a 5-alarm fire that has to be put out right this second. This manufactured crisis mode is what pushes us to just stack our days without leaving a single moment to breathe.
This phrase just perfectly captures the trap we all fall into, letting the colors touch. It's that habit of scheduling one meeting right up against the next, one task right after another, because we're convinced that's the peak of efficiency. But this practice, it has a hidden and very, very high cost.
So, what is that hidden cost? Well, it's something that psychologists call cognitive residue. And it's basically this invisible force that's draining your ability to do real, truly focused work.
Okay, imagine this. You just spent an hour wrestling with a super dense budget report, and now you have to immediately pivot to writing a creative proposal. Your brain doesn't just flip a switch. That's mental residue. It's the leftover analytical fog from task A that's now clouding your creative clarity for task B. And the result of all that residue is, well, it's devastatingly simple. Your cognitive depth, your ability to think deeply, to solve complex problems, to be genuinely innovative, it gets absolutely destroyed. You're just left skimming the surface of your own potential.
Just look at this chart. It really illustrates the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got that standard back-to-back approach, which leads to high mental residue, shallow focus, and way more mistakes. But look at the right. By just introducing a simple pause, you clear out that residue, you achieve deep cognitive depth, and you produce much higher quality work. The contrast is it's stark.
So how do we break this cycle of constant distraction and shallow work? The solution isn't some complex, newfangled productivity system. It's actually shockingly simple. It's a pause. That's it.
And that strategic pause, it has a name. It's a strategy called the Wedge Technique, and it's specifically designed to be the tool you use to fight back against all that cognitive residue.
Now, a wedge isn't just any old break. It's not about mindlessly scrolling through your phone, which can actually increase the residue, by the way. No, this is a deliberate, intentional pause. Its whole purpose is to act as a cognitive reset button for your brain.
The goal here is to completely reframe how you see your schedule. You're not creating empty time, you're creating strategic white space. And I want you to remember that word, strategic. This isn't wasted time. It's the very thing that makes the filled-up time more effective and more valuable.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's get practical. Let's break down exactly how you can insert a wedge into your own day starting today. Honestly, it could not be simpler. First, you finish one thing. Then, and this is the important part, before you even think about starting the next thing, you stop. You take that intentional pause. Maybe it's listening to one song without looking at a screen. Maybe it's doing some quick stretches. And only then, once your mind feels a little clearer, do you begin the next task. So, how long does this pause need to be? Well, the research points to a sweet spot of right around 12 to 15 minutes. That's it. It's just enough time to really disengage and clear out that mental residue without completely losing your momentum for the day.
Ultimately, putting this technique into practice is less about finding the time and more about adopting a whole new philosophy about what productivity even means. It's about consciously reclaiming your white space. And I really want you to let this idea sink in. White space is a strategic necessity, not a luxury. It's not a treat you give yourself when you're done. No, it is a core component of doing high-quality, meaningful work in the first place.
So it all comes down to this one fundamental mindset shift. The next time you see an empty slot on your calendar, don't rush to fill it with more color. Fight that urge. See it for what it truly is, an investment in the quality and the depth of your focus.
So,
I'll leave you with a challenge. Look at your schedule for tomorrow. Find those two colors that are touching, one meeting ending and another one starting. Where will you insert your first wedge and start to take back your focus?